In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things Apple refused to let us know about the iPhone 17 series. Just yesterday, Apple launched different range of smartphone and AirPods. Now, we're going to be talking about some of these things. Now, one of the first thing in which I would like to talk about is the AirPod Pro 3, which Apple launched yesterday, and they talked about something which is the auto translate, which is one of the thing in which I can take from that. The auto translate is a feature whereby you can be able to talk, and the AirPod 3 is going to auto translate whatsoever the person that is not speaking your language talks to you. That is a very good feature in which I think is something we never expected from Apple, with a whole lot of inventions from other smartphone brands like Xiaomi, Redmi, Samsung, Vivo, and other smartphones out there. You can see that there's a whole lot of inventions, a whole lot of things being talked about on smartphones and AirPods and all that. Now, what I so much love is the fact that they introduced something which called voice translation. When you're talking to someone, the AirPods translate whatsoever both of you are talking. Imagine someone is speaking Spanish or speaking French or any kind of language, it auto translates it once the AirPod is in your ear. That is one of the things in which I think is fascinating about this Apple launch. And the next thing which they talked about is the Watch Ultra. They also talk about the Apple Watch Ultra. That one, there's actually no so much difference on that. Now, I'll be talking about one of the most important things I think Apple is actually missing. I don't think they're really getting about what is actually going on. We've seen a whole lot of mobile brands creating a whole lot of upgrades, especially in the aspect of battery capacity. And with what Apple is doing, I think is very good, but they are actually missing the whole thing out, because this is how Nokia went out of the system. Not recently, Nokia, which is now HMD, is now coming back into the system because they failed to follow trend. They failed to look at what is actually going on in the tech industry, and all of a sudden they went out of the system. Now, one of the most important things in which I will talk about is some of the smartphones which Apple launched yesterday. I'll be talking about the iPhone 17. They launched the iPhone 17, which comes with 256 gig and is going for $799. They also have the 512 gig, which is going for $999. This is for the iPhone 17. Now let's come to the iPhone Air, which is one of the most talked about smartphone. I think that's one of the smartphones that was actually different, in the sense that Apple calls this one of their slimmest smartphone, and I think is good when you are doing something, you add something different. So now what's this phone, this Apple iPhone Air is going for, that's for the 256, is going for $999, and for 512 gig is going for $1,199, and they also have 1 terabyte for the iPhone Air, and the 1 terabyte is going for $1,399. Now the next one is the iPhone 17 Pro. iPhone 17 Pro, one of the things I see about this iPhone 17, I think this is actually an orange era. That is what a whole lot of people are talking about, because the iPhone 17 also has orange color, and I think that's one of the most beautiful design in which you can think of. It's not just the design, but the color is very interesting and very attractive. Now let's talk about the iPhone 17 Pro. It's going for 256 is going for $1,099, and for 512 is going for $1,299, and for 1 terabyte is going for $1,499. I'm going to be talking about the capacity of these smartphones. Now for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, I think the iPhone 17 Pro Max is one of the smartphones in which a whole lot of people buy most, and the Pro, these are one of the most moving phones. But let's see if the iPhone Air, which is actually one of the slimmest phones, is going to lead the market in times as time goes on, when it is finally in the market. Now for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, it comes with 256 gig and it's going for $1,199, and for 512 gig is also going for $1,399, and They have 1 terabyte. It's going for $1,599. And the new thing about this whole thing is the fact that they now have 2 terabyte for iPhone 17 Pro Max, and I think is something different. It's not one of those things in which we expect from Apple, but it's actually something different. And for the 2 terabytes, it's going for $1,999. That is one of the things in which you should expect. That's the price of these smartphone. And another thing in which I would like us to talk about is one of the most important thing Apple, I think, will I say they failed or they actually didn't so much work on it, because we had a smartphone company that came about that their smartphone can now, I think it's Oppo. I think it's Oppo. But if I'm wrong, you can correct me. Their smartphone is now is able to, that's the smartphone battery is can be able to take, that's like 10,000 milliamp battery. Even with the 10,000, you don't need a power bank to for anything. And it said that the 10,000 milliamp battery can be able to last for like 7 days. And I think these are some of the things Apple is actually missing in these launch of their smartphone. I love the A19 chip and all that, in which Pro chip, in which they are the hardware in which they are actually doing on their phone. And another new thing about this iPhone 17 is the fact that the design is quite different. And I think I Techno did something with the Spark 40 Pro, I think the Spark 40 series, if you can go and look at it, you see that there's actually something different Techno did, and the design is almost similar with what we are seeing with the iPhone 17 and the iPhone 17 Pro. The design looks familiar, looks similar to each other, and I think Techno got that from the leaks on iPhone. And this is marketing, this is business, and it all depends on who is able to execute it first, and you just take over the market. But with this iPhone design, is actually something different, which we never expected from Apple, because we're already used to their normal design and all that. But with this new design, is actually something different and very interesting and very good. Now, one of the things in which I would like to talk about is the battery. Now, for the iPhone 17, it comes with 3000 mAh battery. I wonder why iPhone is still doing 3000 mAh battery, whereby even the Android phones out there, even the lowest Android phone out there, you get like 5000 mAh battery. That's 5000 milliamp battery. But for the iPhone 17, it comes with 3000, let's just say 3060, 692 is almost, I mean, I'll just class it like as 3000 mAh battery. Then for the iPhone 17 Air, it comes with 3149 mAh battery. And for the 17 Pro, it comes with 4252 milliamp battery. Now, for the only improvement I see on this whole thing is the fact that Apple did something different on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. They now upgraded the battery to 5088 mAh battery. That's milliamp battery, and it's quite funny, but I think it's something good, because we've had a whole lot of smartphone with. I'm actually not talking about the camera. I know iPhone cameras are good. The 48 megapixel and all that is something which we all expect from Apple. But in terms of battery capacity, I expect them to do better in this part. But the iPhone 17 Pro Max comes with 5000 mAh battery, which I think is okay, but compared to some other smartphone brands, I think is actually not compare. You can't compare them with Vivo and Oppo and other these companies, because they are actually taking this tech to the next level. But this is actually a good improvement or a welcome development from Apple, to be able to at least change the design a little bit and give us orange colors. I think is something different, something new also, and that's just all. And the another thing which I saw is when you're making video call, whereby you can be able to expand the reach. Maybe you're making a video or you're taking a selfie picture. You can be able to zoom back to be able to capture more of your surroundings. Let's say, well, I'm like this. We have like 4 or 5 people. These people can be able to be a part of that picture. That's just all. There's actually not so much things going on with the Apple, but just as we expect, they've launched the almighty iPhone 17 series, and it is here to stay. Now let's look at what Samsung is going to do next with the Samsung S26 Ultra, which we expect for them to at least give us something new, not just the whole AI stuff. We need more hardware and all that. Samsung is already good with the hardware, but let's see what they will also come up with. It may be launched early, maybe ending of this year, but let's get to see what is going to happen. So thank you for watching. If you find this interesting, make sure to click on the like, share this video, and follow for more. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.